How's it going, y'all?
And welcome back to B-Bros.
The Bad Batch Episode 3 Replacements aired last Friday, and we are here to break down the episode.
The journey of the Bad Batch is disrupted due to technical difficulties, and they had a soft episode. However, back in Kamino, the Empire is taking the first steps to transition their army into Stormtroopers.
Kaminoans aren't happy about it, also they have moved on to the next phase in their cloning experiments. Can the next phase be the Force-sensitive clones?
Without further ado, let's get into the breakdown and explain.
The Bad Batch's adventure this episode isn't the craziest. Their ship is damaged after escaping the Empire and they crash landed on a moon. The main story is Omega and how she becomes a part of the squad. This includes how the Bad Batch learns to treat a kid.
Omega goes on to a mission with Hunter, and even though Hunter fails, Omega pulls through and finishes the mission as the Bad Batch always does. She uses the tracking skills she learned from Hunter and uses her intelligence to get back the capacitor without triggering the Order Moon Dragon.
The creature feeds on pure energy, and by feeding it with light, Omega is able to retrieve the capacitor.
Back on the ship, Wrecker has been working on his own mission, to give Omega her own room. After the incident he had in the beginning of the episode with food, Wrecker obviously feels guilty and realizes that Omega is just a kid. Therefore, he makes her a room for herself, which solidifies her place in the squad.
Wrecker had to stay on the ship due to his head crashing pretty hard during the fall. For a person who got shot twice so far, it doesn't make sense that a crash on his head will make him unusable in a mission. We believe the crash activated the inhibited chip of Wrecker. He grabs his head a couple of times and the part of his head that hurts is clearly where the chip is.
This might cause Wrecker to turn just like Crosshair did. Hopefully the Bad Batch will figure this out soon and remove the chips completely. We know that they will meet Rex this season and he can help with this for sure.
At this moment, the Bad Batch don't understand the exact function of the inhibited chip. We know that it overrides a clone's will completely and forces them to act upon Order 66, so Crosshair's actions are not done willingly. Hunter and Echo dismiss this thought completely, whereas Wrecker seems to be fine with it. Tech understands why Crosshair acts the way he does, whereas Omega seems to have the most answers.
However, the Bad Batch, especially Hunter, isn't ready to talk about this, so they do not yet have a plan with their chips or Crosshair. Hunter mentions to Omega how he feels responsible for Crosshair as they left one of their own behind, and Omega hints how they will attempt to rescue him in the future.
Crosshair is back in Kamino and he constantly goes through a process to intensify his inhibited chip. This means his mutation might be fighting to get back control. So if the Bad Batch can get him back, they can find a way to bring him back to normal.
An Imperial officer named Rampart visits Tarkin on Kamino. He is the same person we saw last episode that brought the chain codes into the galaxy. He is fast-forwarding through the ranks and he is in a new mission called Project Warmantle.
Basically the introduction of the Stormtrooper program into the galaxy. Rampart feels very strongly that volunteer soldiers will be extremely loyal to the Empire and they can be as efficient, if not more efficient, than the clones. His proposal is to stop the breed of the new clones and make the clones train the new recruits.
We know that the Stormtroopers will take over and it will be interesting to see how long the clones will train the new recruits. Of course, the clones age twice as fast as a normal being, so they have a shorter lifespan. Which means in a decade or so, most of the clones would be too old to continue and the Stormtroopers take over completely.
Tarkin isn't the biggest fan of clones and thinks they are too expensive as the war is now over. He is open to Rampart's ideas and wants to test the new recruits. We can say these are the first 4 Stormtroopers we see in the galaxy. Tarkin sends the new soldiers and Crosshair as their commander back to Onderon to eliminate the insurgency.
Tarkin is well aware of the threat rebels can cause.
On Onderon, we see one of the darkest moments in the entire Star Wars franchise. We saw many clones and Stormtroopers die before, but they are looking less human to the audience, especially because of the masks, so we are used to it. However, we usually don't see the rebels get killed. Of course, this wasn't the brutal part.
The murder of civilians like this is a first. One of the recruits thinks he is better than the clones and questions Crosshair's leadership and skill. Crosshair proves that the clones get the job done by killing the recruit and sets an example to how the other Stormtroopers should act.
This is why the Stormtroopers are more like robots than humans. They have to follow orders before anything. Good soldiers follow orders.
When they return to Kamino, Tarkin sees potential in the new project but knows it is not ready yet. He declares Rampart Admiral and allows him to continue his project.
This isn't what the Kaminoans want. They know the direction the Empire is headed will make the clones obsolete, so they decide to move on to the next phase, which is Phase 3.
So far, we have had the Phase 1 clones that started during the events of Attack of the Clones, and Phase 2 clones which started on the third season of the Clone Wars.
There are a few complications about Phase 3. First of all, the genetic material of Jango Fett is degrading and they need a new source. Imagine taking a picture of a picture of a picture. The quality will decrease. Also, they need more unique sources to make a clone force that will be superior, so there can be no match.
We believe the new phase can be anything from a set of clones just like the Bad Batch with desirable mutations to a force-sensitive clone like Starkiller. We would encourage you to play or watch the story of the Starkiller as it can be important in the next episodes of the Bad Batch. The story is not canon, but they can bring a different version of it into canon.
Essentially, Starkiller is a force-sensitive clone apprentice made by Darth Vader from the genetic material of Galen Merrick. Galen Merrick is a Jedi Padawan that Vader finds when eliminating the surviving Jedi. He starts training him in secret, but he gets killed, so he decides to create a clone of him to create the ultimate apprentice to kill Palpatine and rule the galaxy.
In the future, the Kaminoans will continue to work for the Empire, as we can see from Dr. Pershing from The Mandalorian. His uniform has the Kamino badge, and he was working on collecting genetic material from Grogu, probably to make a force-sensitive clone.
The efforts for it could have easily started during the first years of the Empire. The Kaminoans will make themselves usable for the Empire, and their new phase will be the reason why. We're looking forward to seeing how they will get the Empire's attention.
We would like to end with Crosshair's situation, which we think resembles Bucky's situation.
He is working for the enemy, and due to the surgeries he is constantly having, he has no way to act against it. We can see how unsatisfied he is when he returns back to his room. We believe he will have a redemption of some kind, but it might not be the way we want to see it.
The Bad Batch is not seen in Rebels, which makes us think they will not survive for long. Maybe this season can be about bringing back Crosshair, and in the next seasons he will be a member of the squad again.
However, there's a chance he can sacrifice himself for the rest of the squad. The Bad Batch can have a similar end to Rogue One, where all the members die in a mission against the Empire.
The story developed very well in episode 3, and we entered some deep stuff in Kamino.
What do you think about Phase 3? Is it as simple as mutated clones, or as deep as force-sensitive clones?
This is it for now. Until next time.
B-Bros out.